When should you care? Why should you care? And whose opinion should you care about? These are things that I think should be very easy, but it's not. It's just not. And the reason that is because we live a life where we go through a bunch of experiences, and those experiences tend to shape how we interact with things. Now, before I get into this, this is not a this is not something I went and researched. This is not I didn't go find any articles, and I feel like I have to say that because some videos I will go find research or I'll mention something. That's not what happened here. This is all personal experience and this is my opinion. Sorry if I speak generally because I tend to think the way I tend to do things isn't new, isn't something I made up. It's just a behavior that I've seen or learned from and then adapted to. And I think a lot of people do similar things and then react that way. For example, I feel like when we do anything and whether that event is positive or negative, we tend to interact with those things in the future and treat them based on our first experience or first couple experiences, whether it's positive or negative. So if I have an interaction with somebody and it's bad, and then I go on to think, well, I shouldn't trust that people so easily anymore. For the rest of my interactions with new people, I'm going to be more wary. I'm going to be more careful. That's how I think I behave, and that's how I think a lot of people behave. So when you say you don't care, the first thing that comes to my mind is, well, you used to. You probably used to care. There's a very small percentage of people who can actually not care. And there's something else going on there, right? So the majority of people do care, even if they say they don't care. It's more of a avoidance thing. And it's hard for me to talk like this because the way I speak kind of almost sounds like I'm saying this is how it is. And I just told you it's my opinion, but I do think it's it'll be hard to really disagree with a lot of the points I'm saying. So again, when you're saying you don't care, was there I would say, is there an event that made you not care? Was there an interaction that made you not care? You're like, I'm not going to care about this thing anymore because it hurt me or it affected me in a way that was negative. And if it's yes, okay, well, who was the person or what was the event? How likely is that event to happen again? Are you being reasonable? I think that's where I have to look back and think about what I did, how I got into that interaction, and if I did anything wrong, or even if I didn't do anything wrong, is it right for me to put that interaction so high up on a list that now the rest of my reactions are guided by that reaction? And that's basically really what I wanted to talk about. So for me, the best way I found is so when I say I don't care, what I'm really saying is I really don't give it. I don't care what anyone else says that isn't my close family, my close circle of friends, or like something that's going to affect my life, right? So the only other people I would extend that to is like your boss, your teachers, uh, just think in that category, right? Because you don't want to say you don't care what your boss. If you don't care what you cannot care about what your boss thinks, but then you might not be able to promote. Now, if you don't care about promoting, then it really doesn't matter. Just make sure you do your work, and he can't fire you. Just cover your bases. But other than that, you tend to want to have positive relationships with these people. So, and the reason I based it off like this is if if you're my friend or not even friend because I don't consider friends in my circle. They're not just friends. My in my circle, if you're in my circle and I consider you someone who's close to me, you might as well be family to me. And I think that's why my relationships end up lasting so long because I put friends and in a different category than who's in my close circle. So I care what those people think of me. If if my friend said, "Oh, you're a dumbass," right? Now I'm gonna think about that and I'm like, whatever. That's just he's outside the circle. I could give two fucks what you think because I know no matter what you think, my friends aren't gonna fucking leave me because of what you said, right? But if it's my close friend, I have to think twice. This person's been with me for 10 years, 15 years, 17 years. They know how I am. They know what I'm like. If they're saying this, I should think twice because I care about my relationship with them, one, but also I think very highly of the people around me. So I'm going to take their opinion into consideration. My boss, I'm going to take his opinion into consideration because he can advance in me, but also they got into the situation they did, usually by working hard and doing similar things. Your teachers, you want this for multiple reasons, for these are good things to do. Now, when it comes to social media, I think social media has made us care about useless opinions or things that really won't affect us, but we let it. So when we're dealing with social media, and for example, the Mr. Beast drama. Now you guys can here's I'm just this is the video is not about his drama, but real quick, all these people on Twitter pretty much saying, "Oh, he's doing this for the wrong reasons. He's exploiting people, this, that, or the other." Mr. Beast is someone I feel like who actually does care, and maybe because he's a content creator and he's so big, he has to care because it affects his sponsorships and all of that, right? But the way I see it is he only has to care because they might be affecting his bottom line. But other than that, I don't understand uh, why he's taking so much feedback from them and actually trying to do something about it. Because I think those people, I don't think you should give a, I don't think you should care about people who you don't know, especially if they're complaining about something on the internet, and take that into real consideration, right? I think there's other people you can go to without having an echo chamber that can give you feedback. That's another thing. This is going to be really important. So if you have a friend group, you need to have a friend group that are diverse in opinion. You cannot have everyone thinking the same. Me and my friends, we argue all the time. We get in heated arguments, and it is what it is because we know after the argument we're good, right? And so that's why I treasure those relationships because I can say what I think and it's not going to blow up our friendship unless I mean, obviously there's things you can and can't do, but as long as you're not getting disrespectful and you're having conversation, that's all that matters. And I think we need to all be able to have conversation because what ends up happening is we go on social media, we see someone have some crazy take, say something ridiculous, and then get angry about it, feel bad about it, lowers your self worth, whatever. I mean, these are happening to young kids, and then they're killing themselves, or they're it's affecting their decisions. Your emotions, everyone knows this, but your emotions affect your decisions, even decisions that are not related to the people that affected the emotion in the first place. So you really have to sit back and I think about what happened during that situation so it doesn't change who you are because it does end up changing who you are. I think for a long time, there's certain interactions that happen to me where later I'm like, why am I like this? I didn't used to be like this. And I'm like, oh, because of this incident. And I'm like, well, has that really happened? Well, no. Is it because of how I changed and adapted? A little bit. But is it also holding me back from having more positive interactions? It is. Like if I was to and I think and the reason that this came to me today, there's a couple people who would rather come at you and insult you rather than argue with you. And you don't have to argue with anyone, but when you're arguing and you're having a conversation and the first thing someone does is insult you or say something about you, provoked or unprovoked, well, unprovoked in this case, it could affect how you do things. Now, I think I was able to have thick skin, but I can't attribute that to everybody, right? Not everyone can do this, and I wonder why. I think it's the way I grew up. Now, I feel like it's very easy for me to not feel so bad about things that people say to me because it's easy for me to disregard their opinion because I grew up with people looking at me and making a judgment based off what I look like. And everyone has to deal with that, regardless of who you are. But obviously, being black, there's a disadvantage, right? And just to give a couple, if I was to care about every single thing someone said about me or did to me, I wouldn't do anything. I couldn't, right? There's just I remember I was in this when I moved to when I got a little older, and when I moved, I was finally allowed to go out and do things by myself. I was probably like, I don't know, 10 years old. I'm walking I'm walking to the park or to the store, and I see a car pull up to the side. Now, I'm always careful. I was taught to be safe, so I stay away from them. I think actually I wasn't walking, I was riding my bike. And these kids, they're probably like 16, 17, just got their license, pulled up next to me, 6, 7 years older than me, rolled down their window, said, "Hey." I looked over, and they started calling me every racist thing you could in the book. Now, back then, even though I'm saying I don't care, right? Like I wasn't gonna let that affect me. Back then, the first thing I wanted to do was fight. So I started riding my bike towards them, and they drove off. There was three of them, and they're all 6, 7 years older than me, and they just drove off. Now, obviously, their intention wasn't to jump me or anything. They weren't going to go jump a kid. They just want, I don't know what their intention was, other than to try to hurt me, emotionally, I guess. But after that, I was like, they just want a reaction. So I'm just not going to give it to people anymore. I'm not going to give people a reaction. The only way you're going to get a reaction out of me is if you touch me or say something about someone close to me. I could care less what people think of me. And this is I think this is important, right? Because this is where it comes from. That that the reason I don't care what people think of me anymore is because I have people who think highly of me. I have my parents, I have my siblings, I have my friends. And so if these people care about me, why do I care what everyone else thinks? Because I shouldn't have to care about their opinion. Now, I don't know if that's the right or wrong thing to do, but it's helped me get this far. And honestly, I think it's easier that way. I would spend more time defending someone else than defending my own self because I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter what you think of me, but I'm not gonna sit there and let you talk about someone else that's been there for me. I don't know if that made sense. This is a part-time rambles. I ramble. I don't know if I got to the point of what I was saying. Let's see if I answered my questions. When should you care about someone's opinion? Well, I think when when they're close to you and you consider them a real friend and you have their back, they have yours. These are the opinions of people you should care about. Your boss, your teachers, reasons for promotion, benefits, what do you call it? Recommendations. All good reasons to listen to what these people have to say. Why? Because you know that they care about you and that they really do mean what they say, and that when they're judging you, or maybe judging is not the right word, when they're disagree with you or saying something to you, it's really out of either a way to help you, right? These people, you know, they're your friends, you know, they're family, they're not trying to hurt you. Now, again, has to be, you have to have standards that these people meet so you can trust them with that. Because if you don't have standards for that, then you end up with two things, which are the issues with what I'm saying, right? If you have an echo chamber, this can't work, right? You're going to be stuck in a mindset, or you're going to be stuck in a circle. It's going to have you think and do things a certain way, and it's not going to be good for you overall. So you can't have that. They have to be diverse in opinion. The other thing is that makes this, I guess, a bad approach is I, I don't even. I'm answering the questions. I said when. I said why. Uh, when, why, who. I said who. So I think I answered all my questions today. Sorry for rambling on, but that's all I have to say. if you guys like this type of, I'm not sure if I want to do more opinions. I kind of hate just throwing things out there because I feel like I generalize and I push opinions on people or assume things that people are like, "Oh, that's just a you thing." But I actually like speaking this way more because I feel like I don't use filler words as much, and also it's just my unfiltered opinion on what I think, and then I can really hear what you guys have to think rather than doing research where a lot of my opinion is just backed up by something I looked up, and now I'm just arguing something that I found specific research that backs up what I say. Sometimes I'll find something that contradicts what I say, and I'll put that out there too. But I'm just saying, overall, I like this type of conversation more because it's more of what how I feel and what I think rather than what I read on a piece of paper. And then I can see what you guys feel and how you think because you guys aren't coming back to me with articles of research and stuff. You guys are coming back to me with your actual opinions. And again, I really like to hear what you guys have to say. I have no problem. I like arguing. It doesn't even have to be. I like conversating. We can have this conversation in the comments. Just be respectful. Don't make assumptions. And if you're trying to argue a position, then defend your position without using insults. Right? I've seen a couple comments where people were using. I mean, people who use racial slurs are going to use racial slurs regardless. But if you have a point, don't insulting is not. I'm just going to see that and I'm gonna be like, okay, I still don't, I don't even know what you disagree with because you didn't say your position. You just called me an idiot. But okay, nice. So yeah, that's all. I'm gonna put a song of the day in the description. Thank you for listening.